Hello, everybody. Welcome to another KMU Pod Live podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Chabruggi, over here in Salina. And joining me down there in Southwest Kansas is Derek Rutherford. How you doing, Derek?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. Just trying to still get the medical stuff straightened out. I got to go do yet another blood test to make sure everything's okay there. And still got to get the dental work done, which I thought was going to be done today, but stuff happens.
Things are happening. Yeah.
Got to get it rescheduled. They want money up front that I don't necessarily have, except for the GoFundMe money, which I'm trying not to touch until I absolutely need it when I go in the hospital. But I may have to relent and use a little bit because they want 570 up front to do my dental work. So when they say I get reimbursed from the insurance company, but I don't know.
I
We'll
have
see.
some dental work coming up soon, man. Like I can just tell I'm somebody who's been pretty lucky. Like I don't have the straightest teeth, but I've never had to have braces. Never really had
Right.
like when I was a kid I had a pretty bad cavity, but like I've never really had any tooth issues, but now I'm 42 and I've had to get like 2 or 3 teeth in the back pulled, which is normal. You're supposed to get like your molars pulled, but
Yeah.
those have all been pulled, and since those have been pulled, like my teeth have started like shifting a little bit because there's teeth missing in the back. So
Right.
like I'm like at a point now where I'm just like, yeah, I think that I'm either gonna have to put like a lot of money into having them like salvage what's what with my, or just be one of those like Americans that gets all their teeth removed and just get fake teeth. Uh,
That's what I told the dentist when I was at the dentist office a couple of weeks ago was that if I could afford it, I would just have them pull them all and do dentures. And she said they'd be glad to do it, but she was right. She said, "You're right. It'd be expensive."
yeah.
Like, yeah, I know.
Do you we were talking before the show, welcome everybody to the show that's tuning in. Please share the show to your friends, let them know we're here covering cases in the Kansas area. We'll also cover some out of state cases, and obviously we'll cover some endangered and missing runaway some teens later on also. But earlier
Yeah,
before the show, Ricky, if you want to track down Alexander's old flyer that you had for him, since we know that
sure.
Alexander Perez is a case that me and Ricky first started covering back whenever this show was in its infancy. When we first started the show, he went missing in December of 2020. And Ricky was noticing that he was no longer on the KBI website. So I was going
Is
on
missing.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, well, we had heard from a source, a family member of AJ's, maybe a year ago, and he said that they were trying to basically pin it on a guy named Oscar in Garden City who was going to trial for a slew of other uh, crimes that they were saying he had committed.
Right.
But then we had also heard a few months later that our source had went to the trial and they said that they were going to drop those cases. So anyway, Ricky told me tonight that Alexander had been removed from the KBI site. So I was kind of poking around on
Mhm.
AI here, and it says, "Why was Perez removed from the KBI missing person site?" And it says case transition to homicide. Perez was initially listed as a missing person after his family reported him missing in December of 2020. However, by January of 2021, the Grants County Sheriff's Office suspected foul play, prompting KBI involvement. Authorities now believe he was killed around December 6, 2020 in Finney County. And that's based from KCTV5.com and two other sources. It says arrest and murder classification on December 27th, 2003. Oscar Corrales, 44, from Garden City, was arrested on second-degree murder warrant tied to Perez's death. This shifted the investigation from missing person to a confirmed homicide case. As a result, Perez was removed from active missing person listing, including the KBI's public database, because the case is no longer categorized as an unresolved disappearance. It's treated as a solved murder pending trial. That's again from KCTV5. And then let me see. That's pretty much. It says there hasn't been any major updates since the
Mm-mm.
2023 arrest of Corrales, and the trial
But
are
his
dependent.
body has not yet been found.
Right, but I think so. We won't go too far into it, but many years ago there was a Snapchat going around, and it had basically alluded that somebody had basically gotten rid of Alexander's body, basically.
Right.
It made it to where it would be hard to find. So I think that again, like because we were kind of just trying to figure. I think that I've heard that they were trying to pin that on this Oscar guy, that he killed Alexander, but again, I also heard from a close source that they weren't. But it looks like they are. I don't know, based on what this KCTV5.com has been reporting. It looks like they're treating it more as like they know that. Well, they're attempting to prove that Alexander was, his life was taken by this Oscar guy
Right.
in some capacity, and they kind of know that one, he's gone, and two, they might not find him.
Yeah. Now I found an article from Ulysses News stating that he was going to that Gonzalez was going to spend more than 13 years in prison for leading a multi-year racketeering operation that included drug trafficking, theft, and the 2020 murder of Alexander Perez, whose body has never been found. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, and it wouldn't be, again, I don't know how the trial went,
I don't either.
but it wouldn't say he is convicted. It wouldn't be the first time. I mean, I think if you're like a prosecutor, you would prefer to have a body, but I think that there's been many times where people have been tried and convicted where a body was never found.
Well, hopefully, if there's anybody out there that can help, clear some stuff up for us, that'd be good.
Yeah, that's pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
Christopher Unruh, Esther Unruh in the house. How you doing? We love you,
guys.
Here. We've talked about this case for a couple weeks now. There's a massive reward on this one. If you go to, if you're watching this on Ricky's YouTube page, he posted a documentary that we made a few months ago, where we kind of covered not all, but a lot of the unsolved homicides that happened in the Salina area. This is not in Salina, but it's close enough that we were able to drive there in my van and get back in a timely manner to cover all of them. So maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes from where Salina proper is. But if you go and watch that documentary that's on Ricky's YouTube channel, that part of the documentary I felt was like very ominous, because like the whole thing's pretty heavy, because Ricky's taking us on like essentially a homicide tour, and showing us where these tragic things happen that are still unsolved to this day. But with hers, it's just obviously different. The picture you see on the flyer there, it's a good picture, but it doesn't quite do justice to what it feels like to look at that house, because everywhere else, and most places in America, that house looks very normal, but whenever you look at it in real life, it's that house, and then it's just open vastness on either side of it as far as the eye can see. So it's kind of, while we were there, I was just like, whoever did this to Lori, like, at least had to know she was out here in the middle of nowhere, so very, very tragic, very, very graphic, situation with this case. But Ricky's going to tell you all about it. But this is a 2016 case that is still unsolved and has a very large reward.
Yeah, and Queenie's jumped in here. Queenie, Ellen's in here, and Ray's here. How you guys doing? And yep, Lori Heimer. This was June 25th, 2016. Lori was brutally stabbed in a rural area Kansas home on June 25th, 2016. She ran her business, Lori's Poodle Patch, from her home. Lori was a licensed breeder of miniature-sized poodles and was licensed through the state of Kansas. The KBI was contacted to assist Saline County sheriffs in the investigations. They responded with agents and their crime scene response team. During the investigation, 2 vehicles of interest were developed. Vehicle 1 was said to be an older flatbed pickup truck, possibly a Chevrolet, which is described as beat up, maroon in color, with a white front bumper, silver grille, and wide style side mirrors. The driver was described as a man who was 50 years of age or older, with salt and pepper hair. Vehicle 2 was an older style of small pickup truck, possibly a Chevrolet S10, with a 2-tone paint job, dark blue on the top and bottom with light blue in the middle, the silver back bumper, and a newer blue tailgate that appeared to have minimal damage when compared to the body of the truck. The remainder of the vehicle is described as beat up and scratched up. There may have been 2 animal cages or crates in the back. The driver of this second vehicle was described as a white male, approximately 40 years of age, with shoulder-length hair and wearing glasses. Investigators have said they would like to locate the 2 vehicles. They would also like to speak to anyone who had any contact or any business appointment with Lori at any time between June 20th and 25th, 2016. If you have any information regarding the homicide of Lori J. Heimer, please call Saline County Sheriff's Office at 785-826-6500 or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463. and there is a reward of $37,500 available for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Lori's murder. So if you have any information at all, no matter how minute you might think it be or how important it might be, get it called in and let investigators decide whether they need it or not, because it might be something they need. You never know.
Pretty wild stuff, man.
Yeah. Definitely.
How old was she?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look that one up.
Okay.
I think she
Yeah, I
was.
forgot.
Might have been in her 50s, I believe. Probably pretty close to my age, I would think. At that point, I mean, I'm sure she would be older than me by now, but because she's got some daughters that are. I'm not sure how old her daughters are. Actually, they got 4 or 5 girls, and
Okay.
you know, like I said, I was pretty involved with that situation back then. And I went to Lori's vigil down there in this area. I set my Kansas Missing and Unsolved table up at the fundraisers the daughters had put together for the reward fund and things like that. So, you know, I was there. You know, you could feel the pain and you know the hurt that's caused by all this. So, you know, let's see what we can do to help bring some justice to Lori's family.
Also makes me wonder, like, you know, and obviously they probably would never tell, but I wonder, like, you know, they have, I wonder what physical evidence they have of somebody else being in that house besides Lori, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
that'd be a good question.
do they have anything like, you know, sweat or blood, or did the guy cut himself, you know, or the person cut themselves?
Yeah. Well, they say typically in a murder situation where somebody's being stabbed, the perpetrator tends to actually cut themselves sometimes in the heat of the moment. So it's hard to say. You might have.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and again, like, you know, you see on this show, we cover a lot of cases, and it's and you know, you're like, oh, I wish DNA existed back then to be so, but now, you know, 2016, it seems so long ago, but DNA was there was definitely people there who were interested in the crime scene and any kind of fluid that was there, you know, blood. You know, you know that, you know, this is important. Like, there's a stand-up comedian that talks about, like, crime scene investigations before they knew what DNA was. You know, it's like they'd get to a crime scene and be like, there's a lot of blood, and like now, like, okay, we'll get forensics here. Back in the day, they'd just be like, gross. You know, it's like, because you couldn't tell anything from that. But in 2016, we were far enough into the game that if the perp left any kind of blood, sweat, or tears on the scene, if it was collected, they could match it to somebody, you know.
Right. No, that's for sure.
And although I just talked up of how evolved we were in 2016, I also realized that was close to 10 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Right. Yeah, I just want to see this case get solved and somebody be brought to justice for it, because that's just, I mean, to be brutally murdered like that in your own home, I mean, come on. That's supposed to be your safe place. You know, you're supposed to be able to feel safe in your home. It's just, it's crazy. And this is another one, Haley Davis. She's been missing from here in Salina since July 21st, 2023. 19 when she's been missing. She's now 21. 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she has blue eyes. She left Salina, Kansas with a male acquaintance to go to Wichita, Kansas. She was last active on her social media and last heard from on July 21st, 2023. Wichita police say the investigation has led them to believe that Haley may be deceased. And when she went missing, she was 19. She would now be 21. 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she has blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Haley's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, or the location of her remains, please call Detective Owen at 316-268-4185, or you can email aowen@wichita.gov. If you want to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers at 316-267-2111, or the KBI at 785-296-4017, or 1-800-572-7463. or you can scan that little Crime Stoppers QR code down there in the Crime Stoppers banner. It'll take you to a form on the Crime Stoppers website that you can fill out, submit your information anonymously that way as well. And again, report whatever you have, no matter how minute it is. Because, it may be something that might really put some things together that they need. So it never hurts to call it in because you never know.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, how are you doing? I have not had surgery yet. I've had some things come up that have prevented it from happening. I've had an issue with my blood not clotting right. Got to have dental work done. So as of now, I still haven't had surgery yet. So
Is your are they getting any? Do they kind of know why your blood wasn't clotting correctly? Are they working on that still, or
they think it was the baby aspirin I was taking that my doctor had me take to help thin my blood a little bit, actually, in case my heart was to go AFib again, because my heart's gone AFib twice in 20 years, last being 2017.
Yeah.
And so they're having me not take that. And I went back last Wednesday, which would have been a week off of it. And I finally got a hold of somebody yesterday. And the nurse I talked to, she said that she needed to talk with the doctor and verify that everything looked okay. And she called me back in an hour and a half. Now, that was yesterday. Never got the call back. And then I got a call from a doctor this morning from the same office, and they want me to come back Monday to do blood work again to make sure everything's okay. So Monday morning before I go to work, I got to go down there and get jabbed again.
But the issue seems like that maybe that baby aspirin or baby Tylenol is gonna not taking that's gonna make it where they can operate on you safely.
Right. So
that makes sense. Yeah, that taking that definitely probably will thin your blood out. So they probably don't want you taking that if they're gonna do surgery on you.
Right. And this one, I was actually requested by a family member to get his flyer going again. This is Terry Cornell George, missing from Topeka, Kansas since June 21st, 1989. Was 40 when he went missing. He would now be 76. It's been quite a while. He's 5'7", 150 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. Terry's ex-wife stated she took him to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and dropped him off as per his request. He has never been seen or heard from again. Terry's sister reported missing in April of 1998, almost 9 years after she last heard from him. The family member that messaged me said he was last seen in the Topeka area, so contradictory information there. At the time of the initial report, no foul play was feared in Terry's disappearance, and he was 40 when he went missing. He would now be 76. He's 5'7", 150 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Terry's disappearance, you know of his whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9247 or 785-368-9200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Terry located and back home where he needs to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. I brought some out today because I was really having a hard time getting cases together for the show because I haven't really done a lot of flyers in the last week, and it's not because I haven't wanted to, it's just I haven't had very many requests or anything. So I just went ahead and started pulling some old cases out today. So forgive me for that, but I had to go that route to be able to have some stuff to talk about tonight. So and this one's Catherine Adams. She's missing from here in Salina, Kansas since April 29th, 1993. She was 35 when she went missing. She would now be 67, 5'4", 120 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She was last seen at 4:30 a.m. on April 29th, 1993 at Quick Shop Convenience Store in the 1700 block of West Crawford here in Salina. She drove a full-size white Ford van with "She Has Legs" written on the sides in white and blue lettering. Her van turned up abandoned at 5:45 the next day on the north side of Russell's Restaurant in the 600 block of West Point Boulevard. Restaurant was closed for remodeling at that time. The van was spattered with mud on the outside and blood soaked on the inside. A large amount of blood was also found at a storage unit in West Salina, where Catherine, the saleswoman for Legs Hosiery Company, picked up her stock each day. There was no sign of her at either location, and she's never been heard from again. Police speculate someone attacked Catherine When she went inside the storage unit, it appeared they interrupted her in the process of loading the merchandise into her van, leaving the door of the unit open. Catherine was separated from her husband at the time of her disappearance, and at that time she had a teenage daughter who's now an adult. Her case remains unsolved and foul play is suspected. If you have any information regarding Catherine Adams' disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, where you can text SA Tips to Crimes 274-637 or go to www.pd.salina.org. Follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or you can call KBI at 785-296-4017 or 800-572-7463. And so we can do to help get Catherine located and back to where she needs to be as well. This here again, this is another older case. It's a lot of stuff I know the police had stacked against them back at that time because we had a lot of rain, a lot of flooding around the time she went missing. So I'm sure that probably hindered the investigation as far as washing away any kind of evidence. I know not long after she went missing, a couple of detectives from Salina Police Department came in where I was working at that time, which was Bosselman's Truck Plaza out there on I-70. It's now called Pilot. And they brought a composite of the I-70, I-35 serial killer, and it kind of made me wonder if they weren't thinking that maybe he might have had something to do with it, because I had talked to, not long after I got the composite and put it up, the guy that was director at the mission at that time came in with another guy that was doing a Western Union MoneyGram, and the director was telling me that they believed the I-70, I-35, or I-135 serial killer stayed at the mission here in Salina at that point in time, which then was located up on North 13th and Bishop. Now it's out on the south end of town. And it made me sit up and take notice because my brother-in-law and my sister and my niece live like 3 or 4 blocks straight south of where the mission was at that point on 13th and West Ash. And it just made me like, oh, really? And the director told me that, yeah, he had a paper bag that he carried with him everywhere he went, never let it out of sight, even slept with it under his pillow. So they notified the police department. By the time the police got out there, he was already long gone. So I don't know. But I don't know if they were ever thinking that, I mean, it didn't fit the I-70, I-35 serial killer's MO at all, because he was shooting victims in strip malls and stuff. So, I mean, it didn't make much sense if they did think that, but I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking or why they did it a year after the I-70, I-35 murders happened. But it was, so I don't know. It was just really weird.
Yeah.
Still don't quite get it to this day. But
has there been any like big documentaries on that? I mean, I'm sure there's been podcasts about it. Has there ever been like a documentary about Catherine?
I haven't seen any like full-blown documentaries. No, just like basically what we're doing, you know.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if somebody did a big old deep dive. I've thought about it, but I don't know how I would go about doing that as far as, preparing everything and stuff like that. And it'd be probably hard to find things or find people to talk to you about it too.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It might be something I might think about after I get all my health stuff squared away.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's another one we haven't talked about for quite some time, but this is Dietrich Foster, missing from Independence, Kansas since April 12, 2020. 37 when he went missing. He would now be 43, 5'9", 190 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. He was reported missing on May 12, 2020. He was last seen around April 12, 2020 in Independence. KBI agents and detectives from the Independence Police Department are conducting the case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Foster's disappearance. They never have said what those findings were. Again, when he went missing, he was 37. He's now 43, 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, has a scar on his chest from heart surgery and a scar on the right side of his nose. Has the following tattoos: a cross on his right forearm, astrological sign for Gemini on his right arm, 3 dice on his arm, the name Dejeuner on his arm, and the word foo on his abdomen. If you have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department at 620-332-1700 or KBI at 785-296-4017. There is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So again, if you have any information, regarding his case at all, no matter if you think it's unimportant or not, get it called in, because it might be something investigators need to get this case moving forward. And Raynetta's in the house. How you doing, Raynetta?
Happy Halloween, everybody. Got a few days.
Yeah.
Friday night.
Yeah. Friday night.
Yeah.
So all the little Michael Myers has come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's Megan Renee Fogelsong, missing from Alden, Kansas since December 2015. Was 21 when she was missing. She's now 31, 5'4", 150 pounds, sandy blonde hair, green eyes. Her last activity was November 30th, 2015. There was an unconfirmed sighting, originally reported to be around Christmas time 2015 at Guy's Liquor. But the person that saw her was confused on the date, and it was closer to Thanksgiving 2015. Again, when she went missing, she was 21. She would now be 31. She's 5'4", weighs about 150 pounds. Her weight does fluctuate. She has sandy blonde hair that she does dye occasionally, and she has green eyes. She wears glasses but does have contacts. Has a tattoo on her left hip of a flower design, which you can see pictured far right there. Also has a tattoo on her left wrist of a heart design that says thick thin, with a heart and with the infinity through it, and says thick thin there. And a tattoo on her upper chest, which you can see on that second from the right-hand side, which also looks like an infinity type design as well. She also has a tattoo on her outer left calf of a dream catcher, which I've never been able to get a hold of. If you have any information regarding Megan's disappearance, her whereabouts, please call the Rice County, Kansas Sheriff's Department at 620-257-7876 or 620-257-2363 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And see what we can do to get Megan located and back to where she needs to be. I mean, we all know that the last person to see her was her on-again, off-again boyfriend, David Madden. We know that he, for some odd reason, decided to kill his dad. And when sheriff's deputies tried to pull him over, well, this is where it gets confusing, because I had read that they got him off the road. And when they approached the vehicle, a gunshot rang out, and then I saw another version of it where he apparently had done it in the house. I don't know which was more accurate, but he decided to shoot himself and take whatever he knew about Megan so they were with him. Not that he probably would have told it anyway. And I've always wondered what would make him want to kill his dad, unless his dad knew what happened to Megan and he didn't want his dad telling anybody. I don't know, but that's just kind of a guess on my part. I don't know, but who knows why people do what they do, even to their loved ones.
Yeah.
It's crazy. This is Colton Ross Barrera, missing from Russell, Kansas since September 26, 2008. 17 when he was missing. He's now 35, 5'9", 135 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. A friend reported him or dropped him off at an outdoor skate park. Colton was supposed to call him when he wanted to be picked up, but he never did. Authorities believed that he left on his own accord, but Colton's family doesn't believe this because he wasn't having any problems at home that would cause him to want to run away. He left his wallet and identification behind. Information that has come out since suggests that Colton may have been killed and his body hidden. This case does remain unsolved to this point. If you have any information regarding Colton's disappearance, of his whereabouts. His mother asks that everybody call the Kansas City field office of the FBI at 816-512-8200 first, or the KBI at 785-296-4017, or the Russell County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 785-483-2151, and see what we can do to help get Colton located and back home to his family. If it is accurate that he was killed and his body hidden, I know his family would like to have his body so they could at least lay him to rest, so they would have somewhere where they would be able to go to mourn him. So let's see what we can do to make that happen. I mean, it's been 17 years, a little over 17 years now. So let's see what we can do to help out. And the sad kind of scary part about it is the people that were responsible for that are still running around on the loose. So let that sink in for a few minutes, you know.
Yeah.
And this is one that just really, really irks me. And you'll see why as I get into it. Jamie Hernandez Zubia, or Zubia Hernandez. I've seen it both ways. She was 13 at the time. She ran away from her foster home in Athena, Kansas on June 9th, 2012. Prior to her disappearance, Jamie had been prosecuted in a juvenile court for drug possession. She was due in court for her sentencing shortly after her disappearance. She never showed up and was never seen by her foster family again. There was unfortunately very little media coverage on Jamie's disappearance, likely due to her runaway status, which sad but true. 3 years later, during the early morning hours of May 30th, 2015, Kansas City residents called police to report a shootout on the 2500 block of Ridge Avenue. According to the witness, 2 vehicles fired shots at each other, and a female passenger in one of the vehicles was killed as a result. Female's passenger body was dumped on the side of the road, and the vehicles drove off before the police arrived. 2 days later, on June 1st, 2015, authorities announced that the slain female was identified as Jamie Zubia Hernandez. The identity of Jamie's killer remains unknown, as does the identity of the driver in the car that Jamie was in when she was shot. Additionally, Jamie's whereabouts from June 2012 through May 2015 still remain a mystery. Although she was ultimately found in Kansas City, it's unknown where she stayed or how she survived during those 3 years. Investigators said they received a tip that Jamie was in Kansas City back in 2013, but when they followed the said lead, they were not able to find her. On the night of July 2nd, 2015, one of the vehicles involved in the crime was found abandoned by the Kansas City Police Department. The vehicle was described as a white, late 1990s or early 2000s Ford F-150 pickup truck with flared sides, tinted windows, 20-inch chrome rims, and maybe a bullet hole in its tailgate. A touchscreen device was found inside the cab, but it's unclear what was inside the device and if any of it was relevant to Jamie at all. So if you have any information regarding Jamie's murder, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000 or the Athena, Kansas Police Department at 785-989-4521 or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463, or you can scan the Say It Here QR code over there, and it will take you to a form on their website where you can fill your information out and send that in. And see what we can do to help get some justice for Jamie and her family. I mean, she was 15 years old when she died, probably 16. So, I mean, she didn't deserve to be shot and just dumped in the middle of the road and left. They're on the side of the road. I mean, that's tragic. You know, this one gets me fired up because, you know, she was classified as a runaway. And we've talked about it before that people tend to have this preconceived notion that, you know, a runaway is automatically a bad kid. And that's not always the case. Sometimes they just, you know, on a different path, lost a little bit, need to help finding their way. And, you know, sometimes do make bad choices. I mean, you know, they get hanging around wrong influences or bad influences. They make bad choices. And, you know, apparently maybe that's what happened with Jamie. She just got around the wrong folks and the wrong crowd. But you hate to see that. I mean, that's why, you know, I've got a flyer up now and we're going to cover her here in a little bit. Of a young lady that, you know, as of today, since I think it was September 15th, I believe I made 7 flyers for her between September 15th and tonight. So, because she just, and I'll get into that more as we cover her, but it's just a really sad thing. And I just don't want people to think because she keeps, you know, going missing or running away or whatever you want to call it, that she's not important, because she is. And, you know, just like any of them that run away, they still need to be found. They still need to be, you know, back in a safe place. And that's what we do. What we do is to help get them back into a safe place. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of doing what we do, it's time to go to the next segment for the missing teens, the endangered runaways.
Yeah. Okay. And this one's Tess Jantz. And where are you at on my list? Don't tell me I forgot one. Oh my goodness. I think I did. Let me pull her flyer real Be fast
You're
here.
good.
Not the sharpest knife in the drawer, that's for sure. No. And we've been covering Tess off and on for a little while now because she's been missing for over almost a year, close to a year. Tess Janice is missing from Wichita, Kansas since December 3rd, 2024. She's 16, 5'1", weighs between 100 and 110 pounds, blonde hair, hazel eyes. Don't have I don't have a lot more than that, but if you have any information regarding Tess's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And so we did get Tess located and back to where she needs to be. Because like I said, it's getting close to a year, and that's very concerning. Very concerning. Yeah, there's Freeman Compton. We've covered him before, but he had been located and immediately went missing after he was located. So here we are again. So Freeman Compton, missing from Topeka, Kansas since October 25th, 2025. He's 16, 5'6", 133 pounds, blonde hair, green or hazel eyes. He does have some severe health conditions that require medication that he does not have with him. He does have ties to Wichita, Iola, Chanute, and Topeka, Kansas. And he's 16, 5'6", 133 pounds, blonde hair, green or hazel eyes. If you have any information regarding Freeman's disappearance, you know of his whereabouts, please call 911 immediately or call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9200 or KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can do to get Freeman located and back to where he needs to be. I don't know if it's Freeman or Fremont. I'm guessing Fremont, but I'm not sure. Might be Freeman. This is, I think it's David, maybe? Wilkerson. And a person or lady messaged me and asked me if I had a flyer rep for him, and I said no, I do not. So she sent me the photo, and I looked him up on KBI and made the flyer. So this is David Wilkerson, missing from Great Bend, Kansas, on September 30th, 2025. He's 16, 5'9", 5'10", 140 pounds. He has brown hair with kind of a reddish tint. You can kind of see it in the picture a little bit there, and brown eyes. Don't have much more than that, but if you have any information regarding David's disappearance, you know of his whereabouts, please call the Great Bend, Kansas Police Department at 620-793-4120 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get David located back to where he needs to be. It's been, well, it'll be a month tomorrow, actually. Rodney Cox jumped in. Hey, how you doing, Rodney?
Nice.
And this is Waylon Ellis. And where are you hiding in my list? There you are over there. He's missing from El Dorado, Kansas since October 28th, 2025. He is 16. He's 5'9", 180 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. Don't have much more than that. But if you have any information regarding Waylon's disappearance, you know of his whereabouts, please call the El Dorado, Kansas Police Department at 316-321-9120 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. See what we can do to get him located and back to where he needs to be. Suppressing a sneeze.
Well, your kiddos have been sneezing a lot lately.
This one I just did not too awful long before the show, actually. Let's see, Gonzalez, where are you hiding in my list? There she is. Okay. Dayanara Gonzalez. Dayanara. Missing from Kansas City, Kansas since October 25th, 2025. She's 16, 5'8", 135 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Her ears are pierced. Don't have much more than that, but if you have any information regarding Dayanara's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. and see what we can do to get her located and back to where she needs to be. I did a flyer for her before in the past as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Dayanara. I like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting name.
Yep. And this is the one I was referring to a little while ago that I wanted to cover. And like I said, since September 15th, I've done 7 flyers for now. Kaomi Carrico, missing from Wichita, Kansas since October 29th, so today, since about 1 o'clock this morning. She's 14 years old, 5'3", 140 pounds, bleach blonde hair and hazel eyes. Don't have much more than that. I do know that all of this started because her mother took her cell phone from her for her behavioral issues, and that's for whatever reason started this whole running thing. And since all this started, she has got herself in truancy, and she was put into state's care. Still continues to run, or go missing, however you want to put it. So, if you have any information regarding where she's at, call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254, 316-660-9456, or 316-263-6011, or the KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can't get Kaomi located. Back to where she needs to be. It's Kaomi Carrico. Her mother I do know very well. She was a foster daughter of mine almost 20 years ago, and we still stay in touch. I keep an eye on KBI very closely as to whether she's missing, found, and I confirm everything with Mom. So, see what we can do to get her found and located again.
Yeah.
I don't know what she thinks she's accomplishing by running again and again and again and again and again, but she needs to stop.
Yeah.
She's going to get herself into a situation that she's going to have a heck of a time getting herself out of it if she's not careful.
Yeah.
Especially, Wichita is not a place for a teenager her age to be going missing. Because there's been quite a few young ladies that I have done flyers for that had gone missing in the Wichita area, and when they were located, they were being actively trafficked. So it does happen. That's a scary thing, but it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I worry about these youngsters running as much as they do, because it's just all it's going to take is crossing the wrong person's path is all it's going to take.
Yeah.
Just that simple.
Got a few more cases for you. We do go out of state towards the end of the show, Ricky. We'll do flyers for pretty much any case that's thrown at him. A lot of times people will send him cases from out of state. He also runs the Missouri Missing and Unsolved page if you want to check that out as well.
Yeah. And this is one I just started repeating recently on the show because this is just a strange case. I mean, this is Jeremiah Demetrius Moneta, missing from Ponca City, Oklahoma since January 17th, 2025. Was 22 when he went missing. He's now 23, 5'9", 150 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. His bank account has not been touched, and his apartment showed no signs of disturbance. His cell phone was found in somebody else's possession, and his asthma inhaler that he never leaves behind was found on a stranger's porch. And to me, that's what makes this case so strange and so scary, is the fact that somebody else had his phone, and his inhaler that he never leaves behind was found on a stranger's porch. So anyway, when he went missing, he was 22. He's now 23, 5'9", 150 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, does have facial hair. He does have a Playboy bunny tattoo on his shoulder blade. He was last seen wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hoodie, jeans, and work boots. I take it that that's the Chiefs hoodie that he was wearing in the far right-hand picture there. If you have any information regarding Jeremiah's disappearance, of his whereabouts, please call the Ponca City, Oklahoma Police Department at 580-767-0370, or you can call the anonymous tip line at 580-762-5100, or you can go to the website on the flyer there and send an anonymous tip that way as well. or you can text the Ponca City Police Department plus your message to crimes 274-637 from your cell phone. Or you can email your information in to crimestoppers@poncacityoK.gov. And so I'm going to get Jeremiah located and back home to his family. I have spoken to his mom a couple times, and I do know she's really worried about him. She wants him home because it's kind of a very strange and scary case with the fact that his phone was found with somebody else, and an inhaler that he never leaves behind is on a stranger's porch. So we can do to help out in this case. It's a very strange one. All right. And this is Dana Bruce, one that we cover devotedly every week. We have been for a long time. She's missing from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th, 2008. 23 years old when she was missing. She's now 40, 5'2", 98 pounds, brown hair, green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She had left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. She was last seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with the young man driving a late model Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30. Police have identified the man that Dana was with on the night she vanished. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her again after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush. She does not have credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. And when she went missing, she was 23. She would now be 40. 5'2", weighs 98 pounds, has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots, black at the ends with red highlights, and green or hazel eyes. She was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word Rebel and silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. She has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. She has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced one time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100, or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178, or toll free at 866-362-6422, or you can call Private Investigator Leslie at 910-427-0070 and see what we can do to get Dana located and back home to her family. It's been quite a long time, and I know they would really like to get her home. In case she is no longer with us, I know they would at least would like to be able to, like I talked about with Colton, have a place to where they could, lay her to rest properly and have a place to go mourn her if she's no longer with us. But let's just do what we can to help bring her home as well. And Ellen's saying, thank you for sharing Dana's flyer every week and everything you do. You're very welcome, Ellen. Much appreciated. I do want to read something off real quick here. I've actually got a couple of messages, and I'm trying to remember who the other one was. But I'm going to read this message while I try to think of who the other. I think I can remember who it is now. But I got this message. It says, I apologize. You helped me a few years ago, and I want to say still how appreciative and grateful for your work you do. You're all amazing because of your dedication to helping find people. You're a big reason that I now have 2 beautiful grandbabies from my daughter, and she gave me the daughter and the grandkids' names. So from the bottom of my heart, we're all grateful. Thank you so much. And she included a bunch of pictures as well, but I won't put them on screen. I want to maintain some privacy for them. Let's see if I can remember the other one real quick here. This is one that I did flyers for quite a bit. See if I can find that message again. I screenshotted it, but I can't remember the young lady's name. Let me look here. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Just get rid of that. Okay. Let's see here. I'll know it when I see it because of my response. Okay, that was her, and I got it right around the same time as I got hers. I'm looking here because I really want to read that one too. I just got to remember.
You're good.
Oh, there's this one here. It was actually when we covered Terry George's Fire the Sun that actually got a hold of me earlier. So, Tarna, where are you at? I'm getting so many messages here recently. It's hard to keep up with them all. Let me go down here. Here's hers. Let's see here. No, that's not okay. I'll have to find it and read it next week when I find it because I cannot seem to locate it. But I wanted to find it. Because basically the gist, I remember the gist of the message was another young lady that I had done repeated flyers for. And her mom messaged me basically with the same sentiments, thanking me for doing the flyers and stuff, and letting me know that her daughter was now pursuing CNA and things along those lines, which was really cool. It was really cool to hear. I was really appreciative of that. I like to hear stuff like that. It makes me feel really good to hear that some of these young ladies and young men that I do flyers for are actually doing better and making, doing better in their lives. And she actually told me the turning point for her daughter was that when one of their court appearances, she requested an ankle monitor be put on her, and they did. And she said that seemed to settle her down and get her. She said she graduated high school early, and now she's pursuing a CNA, and it's just really good to hear because you don't get to hear about that a lot. And I've said it before. There's times when I've second guessed myself and asked myself, am I really making that much of a difference? And then I get messages like that, and makes me feel pretty good. To me, it's kind of like God's little reminder that, hey, you are doing good. Don't second guess yourself. You are doing good. It makes me feel good. Just wish I could think of the young lady's name, but I can't think of it. I do so many. It's hard for every single name.
Right.
It really is. I mean, I do so many. I've done so many. I'm sure I'm into the thousands by now, as many flyers as I've done. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's in the thousands. It's got to be. Got to be. Yeah. But yeah. I'm scrolling through my flyers in my folder trying to see if maybe the name will jog as I scroll, but I'll find it and I'll read it in its entirety, minus the young lady's name, because again, I try to preserve privacy for these folks too, because I'm sure they don't want it all. Oh, here, I just found it. I just found it. I knew if I scrolled long enough, I would. So it basically says, "Hi, you help me make flyers for my daughter every time she's ran away. I want to tell you thank you and share her success with you. She's now graduated high school early at that, and she has started CNA classes as well." Which I thought was pretty cool. It's always good to see these young ladies and young men doing better, after they've been found and matured a little bit and realize that running's not the best decision.
Not a good. It's not. Yeah, it's not a good idea in my opinion.
No. And I do want to say something directly to Kaomi. I'm going to put her flyer back up here. But Kaomi, if you see this or somebody tells you about this, You know, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Running's not the best decision. I don't know what's got you doing this, but you know, running's not the answer. You got to settle down, get your head in the game. You know, focus on what you need to do. You got yourself in foster care, and if you want to get yourself out, you got to stop. You got to get yourself focused, get yourself in school, get your head in the game, do what they're asking you to do. You know, I know sometimes it's going to seem like a drag and like it's hard, but do yourself a favor and get your head in the game. You know, I've known your mom for a very, very long time. She was my foster daughter for a short time, about 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. And I know her well. We still stay in touch. I still talk to her. But, you know, Cami, this is, you know, directly at you. You know, it's time to stop running and start doing the right thing. And this isn't doing the right thing. You know, you're going to get yourself in harm's way. You're going to run into a situation that you're going to have a hard time getting out of if you don't stop. So I'm asking you, please stop and stay put. Okay? You'll be doing yourself a favor. You'll be taking a lot of stress off your mom and everybody else. Your siblings, I know they're worried about you and scared for you. So do what you can to stay put and get your head in the game, get in school. You know, it's time. Okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. Well, thank everybody for being with us tonight and going over these flyers. And, you know, it's always something different every week. And as far as Kaomi goes, you know, like I said, since September 15th, I've done 7 flyers for her. As long as she keeps running, I'm going to keep making sure the flyers go up. You know, I've had other ones I've done flyers for multiple times too. And it's, you know, I'm not going to tire, you know, as long as they're going to keep running, I'm not going to get tired of putting them back up. I mean, I got to learn that as long as they're going to do it, there's going to be people looking for them. So anyway, thank you everybody for being with us tonight and going over the flyers and stuff. And so say, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight so we can go over these cases and try to get some people found and some unsolved homicides solved. And just pray that people will step up and do the right thing and get that information in there, because I know there's families hurting that want to know what happened to their loved ones, want to see justice in their families' cases, and want to, you know, we're doing our best to try to make that happen. And until we see each other next week, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. God bless. Amen. Good night.